Hello, my Ashwings. It's Editing Alex here. I wanted to apologize for the audio on my end for today's episode of the Common Language Podcast. Didn't realize that my microphone had been doing anything odd at all. And so I figured everything was normal, went to go edit the video, and it turns out I sound like a really, really bad radio voice character. So hopefully you still can make it through the entire episode. But if you could not, leave me a big old letter L in the bottom of the comments down below. Let me know that I failed and I will do better next time, I promise. So thank you so much for continuing to watch the Common Language Podcast, and I will see you all very soon.
Common language in the morning.
Oh, I love it. Every morning. I'm so happy. I'm so happy we're back. It's time. It's time. We're back at it. Part. We're getting the jingles out to all of you, and it's just another wonderful day at the Common Language Podcast. A lot has happened over the course. A lot has happened. I've had a couple discussions on the channel, but haven't had too much discussion with yourself regarding the Silver Age meta, regarding the health of the things, content that's come out for people who are talking about Silver Age and their opinions on it. We've, of course, had several showdowns that have occurred recently after the ban list that just happened in Silver Age. But I'm assuming your week in Flesh and Blood was staying home. Unless you went out.
So yesterday I did go out. So I played. So 2 weeks ago I didn't, but the past 2 weeks I have, and we just did Silver Age. Last week we did a draft.
Right.
Heavy hitters, just because that's what we have most in stock, I guess. And then this week we did Silver Age because a couple of guys wanted to practice for Silver Age. We do have a couple new players. We have one returning player who used to play CC, has come back to play this, and then a friend of his, I think it's his roommate, has started playing the game the past couple of weeks. So
nice.
He played like a couple of games a couple of weeks ago, and then last week we threw him into the deep end with Heavy Hitters Draft. He did really good. He went 1-2, which isn't bad.
Heavy Hitters Draft is sick. Did you do the UPF style draft, or was it like...
No, there were 6 of us, so we just
gotcha.
If there was 4 or 5 of us, we would have.
Yeah.
And then this week he was working on a KO deck. Nice. So he pulled that in. There was some. It was funny because there was his friend, his roommate, who actually works at the shop, and like I said, he played probably a year or 2 ago just in CC, but he's then come back just to play Sage. Sage is just, once again, great entry point.
Yep.
That we're seeing where people are like, hey, I can come in, I can play a couple games, I don't have to spend a lot of money.
Yep.
And I can build several decks. So his roommates, he's Apple, he's working on several decks, but his KO deck that he made for TJ, the new guy, he was playing it, and there just wasn't enough go again and stuff. So I looked at his deck and I was like, oh, hey, you should switch out this card and this card and this card. He's like, yeah, I had said that. I was like, your instincts on your deck building is correct. Stop listening to Apple.
Yeah,
build your own deck.
Yeah, just listen to yourself. Sometimes it's about the way you want to build it, and there's certainly there are ways people have built the deck before, but nothing is truly deeply solved. So it's always good to experiment too.
Yeah, and I could tell he was looking at like common decks people are using, because the cards I told him to switch out are just like almost in every single KO list, and he was like, yes, that's what I had said. So they just had a little too many blues in there and just needed to switch out for like yellow Clash of Might, yellow Buck Wild, like just a couple of things that are pretty common in the decks right now. So so he was once again, though, Flesh and Blood is hard even on that level, right? Like if you're in a couple of weeks, you've only been playing a couple of weeks, like you're just gonna lose a lot. And it's just learning how to do that. I also I showed them like the technique of, going in with Claw and discarding Agile Windup. So there's little things like that we can't take for granted.
Yeah.
But as a new player, like you don't think about, I can discard this to set up my next turn and keep going.
Yeah, those are definitely some more advanced things I like to, when I can tell that the player is ready for like these interactions, like if they draw into their hand and they're like, oh wow, I can't do anything, I get to go, okay, when you say you can't do anything, I want to take a look at the 4 cards you drew and tell you that you can, right? Like, that there are
100%.
things that you can do. Like, currently at your level of knowledge, you might not believe there is anything because you need to see the word go again printed on something in order for you to think that that is. But there are ways to manipulate that with layer steps and resolution steps and all that other stuff. So it's definitely because I think that is, not even just to like, it's for all players out there effectively. If you're listening to this, the resolution step was always like such a weird thing to me because I was like, okay, we're obviously resolving the chain link, but I didn't even know back when I started that that's when you get the go again. Like, you don't get the go again just because it's printed on the card. It's once the card fully resolves and like the chain link is resolved, you get your action point back with the go again. It's like the last thing that happens is that's how you refresh your action point. So there are ways to obviously cheat that throughout the course of everything there. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's fun.
Good. I was also playing. I also knew like there was a couple KOs. Like he was playing KO, another buddy of mine was playing KO. So I went in with Bravo Flattering Showman.
Nice.
So I went in with like trying to, which we'll talk in a little bit. How do we beat KO? Because I think that's the boogeyman.
Yeah.
But yeah, how'd your PQ?
It was pretty okay. I mean, I had my PQs the week before. Went so not this last weekend, but the weekend before. Got top 8 at R1 on Saturday on Huntsman, top 4 on Sunday on Huntsman. And so I was making waves, and I was like, okay, well, surely this means that either my gem luck was good or my matchups were I just played out of my mind, I guess. But this week we had one on Sunday. I proceeded to lose round 1 into Jarl. Very bad matchup for Huntsman. Round 2, I got paired into a Marlin. We ended up going to time, unfortunately. And it was a situation where it's where I kind of am not super happy with how draws or how end of time maneuvers are taking place, because I would much rather my opponent truly tell me what's left in their deck and go, I could do this to beat you. And my answer, because I'm very thankful that like we have this discussion. It was a draw against a very good friend of the channel, a friend of mine personally. I was like, I don't want to go to time, but she didn't want to concede. And I was like, well, if you don't want to concede, it definitely means that you feel like you can win. But the downfall is that it's whenever these conversations occur, it's can you win in like 2 to 3 turns? And even if we had like, we don't have 2 to 3 turns. It's literally you take your turn, I take my turn.
You have 3 total turns.
Yeah, and then it's over, right? So so in that moment, right, that's when I look at the life totals and I look at the cards in my hand and I'm like, well, can you kill me right now? Because if you can, then yes, obviously you should not concede and you should proceed to send the damage. But she couldn't kill me on that turn, and so I was like, okay, I don't want to concede either, but like I have a feeling that she had an opportunity to do so if it was, if we had 2 more turns in the game.
Whose turn did it go to time on?
My opponent's.
So then you would have a turn, she would have a turn, you would have a turn.
No, I think it's, well, I mean, you're a judge, I guess you would know.
It's been updated in Super Slam. There's 3 at the person that goes to time. There's 3 extra turns.
Really?
Yeah. So if the judge didn't let you do that, then there's.
Well, I mean, it was.
They're doing the old way.
Yeah, I think it was probably set up to be.
I'm going to get a judge come on here and tell me I'm doing it wrong.
Hey, listen, I'm going to have to ask now because I'm curious. Because essentially, it was my opponent went, I blocked out, no damage was dealt. My opponent went. It was then to my opponent's turn, and that was it. We called it a draw because we didn't proceed to go further. But if she had another turn, I also don't think that was a.
You would have another turn,
and I'd have another turn as well. I mean, like I don't know that I was able to like, end it on mine, but I mean, it certainly would have stopped my. It certainly would have prevented my some of my blocking choices if that were the case. But regardless, it always sucks going to time, and I feel like having a discussion about win conditions and stuff is always helpful.
Yep.
But I understand that could be sharking in some situations and yada yada.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But round 3, I then lost into a marionette.
That's a hard match. That's a pretty
it's hard.
Yeah,
I think
it takes a good I think like we go on there and we watch on stream like, hey, I watched a Huntsman beat a marionette a couple times on Brisbane stream, but like one thing we have to remember is these are like the top of the best players. And it's not to say that you're not good. It's just to say like those are hard matchups that like every little percentage that you get out of it comes from them playing that matchup a lot, doing a lot of that testing, as well as like what order of cards you drew and things like that. Like it's still a hard matchup no matter how you put it. And it's like, yeah, sure, we watch people on stream win that, but like, I mean, I'm nowhere near close enough to play to the level people on stream play. Like those are the best of the best,
right? And I've beaten a few
hundreds of hours into it.
I've beaten a few marionette in my day on Huntsman. It's definitely not an impossible matchup, but I think it is one of those matchups where marionette can kind of just get out of hand. My marionette opponent, we were playing, it was like the first like 3 hands of theirs were like clunkers. Like it did not do anything. It was a bunch of the D reacts they put in their deck to hold up, and it was like every now and again there was like an attack reaction. And so I was like, okay, like sure, I guess I'll just continuously push damage, and you're probably going to block with the D reacts you have in your hand. And the second they had a hand that functioned to the point where it was like Kiss of Death, scar tissue T-toxin, I was like, yeah, that just kind of kills me. Like I can't like this is just going to continue. And so once that happened, my hunteds didn't really get a whole lot from the deck, and so I was just like, all right, well, it is what it is. We we take the L, we go home. So I went back home and just hung out. And
it's one of those like you hit. It's really hard. It's really not really. It's really easy to, especially when you lose round 1, just kind of lose focus, right? Like you're just like, I lost round 1. Like, am I actually going to? And so,
and I've been better
it's one of those.
That. I've been better.
Yeah.
Like I know
and
that
then, and then going to time in second, right? Like you all know it's going to go to time, especially if it's a friend of yours. Like you got to look at that and go like, well, did we play reasonably?
Right.
At a reasonable pace? Yeah. Did we slow down? Usually, like you said, like. As a Huntsman player, you usually know what you're doing. Like, did the other players, especially when it's a friend, like you don't want to call slow play. You want to give them a chance.
It certainly wasn't
I'm not saying
slow
that they weren't
right. Yeah,
I think I was just saying like it makes it trickier.
Exactly.
If they were doing slow play, like you don't want to call slow play on a friend of yours.
Yeah, and I'll give it the benefit. I know it was a new deck for her, but a new deck.
It was always hard.
It was a new deck on paper. She had been playing Marlin for a while on Talishar and wanted to get back into it. So it wasn't a foreign concept. She's also a really, really good player. But I think our matchup it was just unfortunate that none of us were either to really like push as much damage, because as a Huntsman player, when you send 13 overpower, I say block 12. And most people can't do that. So I get to go, okay, we will end up seeing most of our decks together because I will block out your stuff. It's not like, when you're playing into a ninja and it's like 13 overpower, your opponent blocks for 3, you deal 10, you do that 5 times in a row, your opponent dies. So it is
it's definitely hard.
It's a tough one.
And I don't want to call out like say like, oh, your opponent was playing.
No. I know you're not.
I was just calling out like, if that was happening.
Right. The situation.
You don't want to call it on your friend at all in general. Like there's been times like I've seen it where like we were at it was Heavy Hitters pre-release. There was a new person that was playing and she was definitely playing slow play, and we ended up going to time. I think I ended up just conceding. Like there was, because I was trying to make sure we didn't go to time. I like blocked weird or didn't block correctly.
Right.
There was like a couple decisions I made that should have been better, but it was me trying to make sure we kept going. But it was like, it's a pre-release. I don't want to call slow playing someone. I'd rather take the L than call slow play on, especially a new player.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you don't exactly, not anything you want to do. There are some situations where it is very, very warranted. We had somebody add an RTN during this last season of RTNs who was from like Utah or something. I don't know where they were. They were not from here locally. And they came out to an RTN and they proceeded to play, I think they were playing Kasai, I want to say. And they quite literally would, like, if they paired into any deck that was like a fatigue deck, they quite literally told their opponent, I'm going to bring you to time. Like, they said that. And I don't know why nobody had proceeded to, like, call judges over or, like, have a judge watch that specific scenario. But, like, the player definitely was saying, I, as like a side player, I'm going to bring you to time because I don't like playing into fatigue decks. And you deserve to go to time for us to draw. And would never, like, it's never a concession. It's always just, well, can you kill me? Okay, you can't. Cool, we'll draw. Like, very bad manners and bad sportsmanship. So
yeah, I'm gonna put this out there. I am a level 1 judge. I understand a lot of this stuff, and so I'm sure we have a lot of listeners that are level 1 judges. But one thing I do want to say I was actually so I've been working through Bryce Platt's Cardboard and Beyond podcast. If you haven't listened to it, it's very, very good. And he does like a deep dive. It's not just about flesh and blood, it's about a deep dive into that person.
Right.
So, like, we had Uber Shouts on there. I just listened to the JJ Scott episode, and actually he talked a little bit about this. And this, I did know this, and so I'm going to call this out too for people listening of what you're looking for with slow play. Like, slow play is a really hard thing to look at, but essentially what a judge is looking at is there's not necessarily like a timer of you have 30 seconds to take to do this, but what they do say, what's been told to the judges, and what JJ Scott said in that, which once again I'd heard because I'm in the judge discourse and things like that, is essentially if a player does nothing, if you want to track like a minute, that's about the time. If they do nothing for a minute, then you can call judge over and say, like, hey, they're doing slow play. What a judge is looking for, if a judge walks over, what they tell you to do is they say, if you can go and you can look at the person's cards in there, read all the cards that they have out, check any auras, even just like some equipment, it's important, and you can read the cards in their hand, or at least know what their cards in their hand's doing. And once again, a reasonable time, like a minute. If you can read all of those and they still do nothing, and you can even read it slower if you want to, and they still do nothing, that is considered slow play.
Right.
So for people out there, if you feel like someone's playing slow play, think about it from the level of, can they read every card in their hand? Can they read their whole board? Take about maybe 30 to 60 seconds. I would say about 60 seconds. After that point, that is considered slow play. Now, we do realize they do, depending on the hero, like, they are going to say, like, hey, a Kano, we're going to give them a little bit more time, right? Because Kano is doing more complex things. Maybe they got to think about their hand. They got to think about their pitch stack, what's going on there. And so typically with, like, somebody more complex, they're going to let you do it. But with someone like Kasai, for instance, they're not going to let you just sit there and let you think about it. So if you feel like Kasai or somebody like that is taking a long time, call a judge over. Yeah. Because what a judge is going to do is, if they're a good judge, that's what they're going to do. They're going to check the board state, right? Like, if they're gravy bones, maybe they have several allies out, so they're going to literally sit there and go, like, okay, I'm going to read these allies. I'm going to check their hand. You can't obviously read every card in their hand because they're probably holding it awkward. Right. But you kind of know roughly, take the time that it would take you to read every card in there. About a minute. Yep. And if no action happens, they're going to call slow play. Yeah. So don't feel afraid to call that on people, and that's just more of like a guideline. If you feel like someone's taking a long time, usually about 60 seconds, 90 seconds, like, that's that time frame that a judge is looking at. And so the reason why they say if you can read every card on the board state, right, there are some board state decks, sometimes it can get complicated. And so if they will go up and they'll read those cards to just make sure that they're within line, right? If it's a more complex board state, things like that, like, they're going to give a little bit more time.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's a good thing to have. I mean, it's knowledgeable to know, because I don't think I've ever run into, like, a hyper slow player. And I certainly know my way around fatigue matchups to where I've I've played into other fatigue games. Like I've played Jarl versus Huntsman, and we have been done before some of the aggro games have been done.
Yeah.
And it just comes with knowledge. But that guy was like intentionally slow playing, and I don't know why that person even lasted through a round if that was the case, because it sounds like he paired into quite a few of our locals who he immediately was just like, yep, I don't care, I'm going to bring you to time. And that was enough for them to be like, well, that's stupid. Like, why would you do that? And so
also, like, because they are tracking now, you know, after, you know, we all know the debacle of Brody Stark on all that. They are tracking slow play warnings. So if you are consistently getting that, you actually will get DQ'd like Brody did. So like with players like that, if he gets called on that, he gets a warning. They have to fill out paperwork to say he got a warning. And if he does that consistently in a one event, if he gets multiple warnings in there, there's a good chance he could get disqualified for a season. So I say that to say, like, judges know this. Judges are looking at slow play. And so do call that out. Once again, you don't want to call it out like, you know, you might feel bad to call out a friend. So like, just have a conversation with them. Just be like, hey, this is going to be a fatigue match. You do need to play a little bit quicker. I don't want to have to call a judge over. If it's a friend of yours, just like, hey, can you play quicker? But if it's someone you don't know, like, talk about that, say that, and then a judge will tell them, like, they will be like, hey, and sometimes those judges will stand there to make sure that they go faster.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of what a requirement is. When you get slow play called on there, they will stand there for a little bit.
You get a warning. I mean, like, eventually it's, if nobody else in the room is getting a warning and one individual is, out of like a 24, like a 36 person PQ, like, there's nothing else that they're really looking at. Like just hang there for a little bit, see if that continues, go from there. But overall, I mean, it wasn't a terrible PQ. I still have another one I'm coming to next week. I might not be bringing Huntsman though, because last night I played Rhinar, Medax Rhinar, and
have a lot of fun.
Oh my god! I went in there and I was like, surely I'm not going to bother doing a whole lot. Like, I'm scared of rolling scab skins. I don't really know that it's going to work out in my favor, but like, it seems like a pretty fun deck. It does some decent damage. It's not the end of the world. And I proceeded to, and I kid you not, Nathan, I rolled scabs maybe 7-8 times over the course of the 3 games I played. Never rolled anything lower than a 5.
Nice.
And my last game into a Jarl, I know.
I'm gonna get a little Medax.
It's so wonderful.
So this is Medax number 2, too.
That's the second one. You got another one coming out.
Yeah. So finish your story, then I'll
no. Yeah. So I effectively my last round was into a Jarl, and it was a really, really close game. Jarl is kind of a powerhouse, but I was putting on the damage. It was like 33 to like 19 at one point, me 33, and I was like, I can just keep going. I just can keep going, and it's felt like KO in Sage. I was just like, I'm just pushing all this damage and intimidating my opponent's hand, and then I draw into a hand that's 2 Sand Sketch Plan and a Reckless Swing, and like a yellow Buckwild, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess that train's over. And I just like, it was like, all right, cool. Send damage, and I'm like, I'm trying to like think about because like I've not had to like think about a line most of the night, because I've just been rolling scabs, and I roll 2 action points or 3 action points and I go sick. But my turn 1 into the Jarl was literally, I win the die roll, I go first, I play scabs, I roll a 6, I leak 7 points of damage, turn 0. Because I just go crazy with it. And I'm like, okay, this hero is kind of nuts. And then proceed to just like slam a whole bunch of damage down. And it was a lot of fun, but I only rolled 6s into the Rhinar, into the Jarl. And it wasn't until the last hand I had, it's like 2 Sand Sketch Plan, a Swing Big, and an Agile Wind Up Yellow. And
easy, just pitch the Sand Sketch and play the Sand Sketch.
Well, you can't pitch the Sand Sketch to do nothing, right? Like, because Sand Sketch costs 0.
Because the Sand Sketch costs 1, right?
No, it costs 0.
Oh, it costs 0? For some reason, I thought it cost 1.
Nope,
Oh, okay.
that costs 0. So it's harder, right? So that line in my head, I was just like, well, surely this just means that I have 2 blues in my hand.
Are you sure about that set? I know you just played it. I'm just
like,
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So I looked at my hand and I was like, okay, what the hell do I do? Oh. I have a sea legs in my arsenal because I couldn't play it in my last turn.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, theoretically, if I really wanted to, I could do this into pitch this blue into a swing big. If I roll a 6 again on my scab skins, I get to roll swing big, and then I get to pitch to swing.
We all know that's when you roll a 1.
Well, exactly, right? And that's why I was like, this is the time. This is what I need. I need this in order for me to do well. I need this to be.
I feel like you're going to be better off playing the sand sketch and hoping that 33% is better than whatever you roll on the die.
I was like, oh my god, this is actually so insane. I don't know that I'm actually going to be able to do anything. But a couple of my buddies were watching the game, and my friend Emmy, shout out to Emmy, and Saren also. I think we're looking at my hand, and they were like, "You have the freest 14 points of damage I've ever seen in my life, or 13 points of damage in your life. Why didn't you just do that?" I guess it was 14. No, it was 13. It was like freest 13 points of damage in your life. Your opponent's at 1, and they're a Jarl. I'm like, why didn't you just discard the agile windup on your opponent's turn, get the agility token, and then just pitch a sand sketch to swing big for 8 go again, into pitch the other sand sketch for meat axe, banish top card of your deck, or destroy top card of your deck, have it intimidate, and come in for 5. Like that's the lot. You did not need to roll scabs, and I was like, but I've only been rolling 6s. What if I what if I got Blizzard?
Did you roll scabs?
I did, and I rolled a 6. I did. I sat there. I was like, surely this is the one time I'm going to roll scabs, and it's not going to be a good roll. And I've been hot all night. I proceeded to roll my dice.
Are you sure
and
that
it's a
dice
6.
isn't weighted?
I had other people pick up the exact same dice and roll it, and they rolled a 2 and a 4 and a 3. But every time I rolled it, 6, 5, like all the time, and I was just like, okay, cool. It's funny. It was even the game I played against the same Marlin I drew into, Saren, last night, and it was scab skins for 5, 2 action points. Intimidate some cards, deal some damage. We were sending haymakers back and forth at each other effectively. And my last roll, I needed to actually like try and win this hand. Because otherwise, if there's she proceeded to send a King Kraken harpoon at me, and I was like, King Kraken, okay, that's the non-attack action one. I look at my hand, 4 attack actions. I'm just like, well, I'm taking 10, but like, I can't let you have another overpower turn. I will die. So I have to do something. My opponent's at like 8 life or something. I can't remember what they're at. And so I literally go roll scabs, and I've been rolling. I rolled 3 5s in a row previously on scabs in the same game. She proceeds to take my dice and goes, "No, don't roll this. Roll my dice." And I'm just like, sure. I proceed to roll her dice, and I get a 6. I've been rolling 5s on my dice. I roll her dice, a 6, and it was like a gas leak had happened at the armory. We were all just laughing and howling. It was like such a fun time.
That's when, like, with scab skins, right? Like, it's one of those, like, it's gives and taketh away, right? Like, giveth and taketh away. That's what they talk about. But at the same time,
I will never roll a 6 again. From this point forward, it will never happen. That was
no matter what happens. Like, if you get a 6, you get a 1. Like, there's always laughter, and it's just, it's one of those, like, it's so fun, and you watch that, and you're just like, yeah, this is what games are about.
Yes.
I won't play Rhinar with scab skins because I literally only roll 1s and 2s. Like, I cannot roll a 5 or 6 to save my life. I hate dice games. Like, I'm the most unluckiest person ever.
Oh no.
And so like I won't do it, but it's fun watching people like that when you go like, okay, we did like, and it's just it's exciting. Like last night we were playing in the last game, so I went 3-0 at our last night, and the last game, the boss fight was me on Bravo, star of the show, or whatever.
Bravo, star of the show.
Bravo, Flowman. I was on Flowman, and he was on Ultim, right? Like they were like, okay, this is going to be a big beat back and forth, lots of blocking, all of that. I came in with a 10, this is in the middle of the game. I came in with a 10 dominate and pummeled it, and he was able to get a full block off of it. 14 dominate with a pummel on it. He was able to get a full block, and all I did was I just immediately went and fist pumped him. Like as hard as I could. I just was like, boom, like it was just like, I cannot believe that just happened. And so you have moments like that you're just like, this is what makes this game so fun. Like with these moments that you're like, even though in your case you were screwing people, and in my case I got screwed, but I can't help but like appreciate that moment that I just like fist bumped his heart. I did end up taking that game. He almost fatigued me. It was a grind fest. I had 3 cards left in deck.
I love some good Guardian v Guardian violence. That stuff is always a fun game.
It was hard. Like we were just doing big hammers back and forth. We both had Sledge on, and eventually in the middle of the game, I realized I need to start taking damage so I can start dominating stuff. But he kept like I would click like 1 damage in and all of that. Like it was a grind fest. But yeah, like with those moments, it's like those are just fun moments that even if you're the one getting screwed, you can't help but laugh or be excited about just seeing it, right? Like, it's a lot of fun.
It's a good time. I'm very, very happy that the deck played the way it did, and frankly, I'm just happy to have had so much joy and laughter after the 1 draw and 2 losses the day before at a PQ, because I was just like, this is why I play card games. It's not for the hyper competitive thing. Like, sure, of course I'd love to win, but like, it's the fun side of things, and I think that is something that I really do enjoy, which is why I'm happy I built Meanax Rhinar for that.
I've always been looking for a style that fits me, and regular graphic tees just don't feel the same. I never feel like I can get the right personality represented on a graphic tee by most companies. That is, until I heard about Into the AM. Into the AM is a men's apparel company that offers a great range of unique art and slaps it onto, honestly, one of the comfiest shirts I've ever worn in my life. Into the AM works with independent artists and licenses exclusive artwork you can't find anywhere else. Cosmic scenery, intricate geometric patterns, surreal dreamscapes that look like an album cover for a band that doesn't even exist yet. And the best part is, they stay fresh for a long, long time. Most graphic tees you wear will start to crack or flake off with a few washes, which is due to that plastisol ink kind of sits on top of the fabric like a sticker of sorts. These often have me donating older shirts after a few washes because it doesn't emit the same graphic as it once did, which often makes the shirt look really, really bad. But Into the AM prints their graphics differently. This is something I did really enjoy about reading up on them, is that the ink bonds into the fibers, not on top of them. So the artwork stays vibrant while the tee stays soft. I like looking good when I'm out at my local game store playing Flesh and Blood, and a great looking graphic tee certainly helps bring the fit all together. But if you're ever looking for some unique graphic tees or even some basic tees without graphics, Into the AM has you covered with a ton of really comfortable options at great prices. You can check out Into the AM today by using my link in the description below, or you can use my coupon code ASHTCG at checkout for 10% off of your order. Thank you so much to Into the AM for sponsoring me and the channel. Now let's get back to the video.
Speaking of Brute,
I know KO
is kind of insane in stage, right? So getting into our kind of topic here, we had the Calling Brisbane recently. Calling Brisbane the Calling was CC. Showdown in Brisbane.
Yep, Calling was Showdown. So we didn't see Showdown. We saw the Calling.
Yep.
But we do get the top decks.
We do get the top decks. Which is good. And oddly enough, to a lot of people's surprise, Dash ended up taking it down. Dash and Oldhim were the finals. Just that.
It was, that's what I was about to say. It was Dash and Oldhim in the finals. Now, there were 4 KOs in the top 8.
There were 4 KOs in the top 8. That is correct. And there was a Riptide in the top 8.
There was a Riptide.
A Riptide in the top 8. There always seems to be one Ira that sneaks through into these top 8s in the stage stuff. So, really, Nathan, do you feel there's some contention Do you feel that KO is still like the dominant deck? Or do you feel like obviously there are ways to beat the dominant deck and that Silver Age is still quite balanced after the ban list?
Okay, so I think it comes down to like what do we consider balance, right? Because I think our definition of balance is a little bit different from LSS.
Right.
Different of balance, right? Like, we talk about like I know you talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We were on the Clash committee, and that was one of our things that we strived for was make every hero playable.
Yeah.
So like we would ban stuff to make every hero playable. Was there some better? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I really think where we were at in Clash, where we kind of left it and made it where every hero was viable. There was a viable way to play every hero. Even those D tier heroes could come in and beat those A tier heroes. Like we would see that time and time again, right? Now that being said, in our card pool that we specifically have, right? Because one thing that we know that I think we've all noticed is that, especially for heroes that are kind of B tier or D tier in this, is they give them specializations, whether it's armor equipment or it's attack actions. I'm thinking of Olympia's gold armor, which we didn't even get in Clash. Like we kind of stopped playing at that point, right? Like because Sage was already on its way. Even Betsy. But I do think so. Just kind of, I just want to kind of set up what do we think balance is. So let's have that kind of conversation first before we talk about is it balance. To me, I think what they're looking at is they're still looking at balance as a triangle,
right?
Or like 4 decks. Like they're looking at it. Is there 4 or 5, 3 to 5 decks that are viable that are more or less in a triangle or circle or square, whatever you want to call it. And so I would say, I still think it's not quite there. I think, we haven't really talked about the ban list. I do think there's a couple things on the ban list that I think surprised everyone. But I think kind of the general community consensus is the fact of reason why KO didn't get hit is because the cards you would hit is in his deck.
That's correct.
And I get that they probably don't want to hit the deck, right? Like we've talked about, beaten trackers or Buck Wild, something like that. Like I think Buck Wild is probably actually the most contentious one.
Yeah.
If we were to look at a card, I would say Buck Wild probably needs to be banned, but it's in his precon, and I get they don't want to delete out his precon right now.
Right.
They want you to be able to buy in and go. And that precon, I'm not gonna lie, the precon is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I watch players just grab that precon, go in, and just destroy people.
I mean, one of the people at Toulouse in the top 8 was on just the KO precon. And they had top 8'd the event. It is a very powerful deck, and I understand not wanting to like ban something from it, right? I think I mentioned this kind of in a video that I made previously talking about the results of Toulouse and kind of the overall like feedback from the KO situation, in which I view KO a lot like I view Chain. In which the hero power is what is making this insanely busted. Because like you're not seeing the same results in Reinhardt. You're not seeing the same results in KO Berserker Runt. You're not seeing the same results in RKO or Tough Nut. The brute class is not some busted individual class, right? Unlike Runeblade. Like we know Runeblade has a lot of insanely really good busted cards. And especially when they're tied to the elemental talent. But in this scenario, right, a lot of people are like, well, what do we hit? Like, what can we hit? What can we not hit? What's going to be this and that and the other? And I feel like that might be where LSS is looking at this right now, is that, sure, KO currently, they don't want to ban anything because a lot of the cards that make KO really good are in the KO precon deck. So they can't really just go like, let's ban beaten trackers, because then you need to get a new foot piece, and they can't just like retcon to have flat trackers in the precon deck. Although what could have happened is they could have known as the designers of the game that these cards are egregious and have just not put them in the precon. But that again would also then say, well, we're doing it because we're going to make these ban changes later, so we want them to be consistent. Or they have to go with the fact of, oh, we put them in there, but it's not the best foot piece and therefore not the most competitive version of the deck. So now it's a lie on their marketing as well, which I know we've had discussions about as well too on there. So it's one of those things where I feel like what we are now currently dealing with is they banned Chain at the beginning of this pen season because they were like, Chain's going to be egregious, but then nothing really came from the ban list aside from Sirens for KO, and KO
which to be fair, that actually was a big card.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
because he did discard, like essentially KO gained 4 life.
Yeah,
off of that.
you could gain well, I mean, most were usually only on the reds, but even if you're on the yellows, you could gain 4 life of it, sure. But I think the other thing is that those just got replaced with cards that are other 2 for 7s in the brute class.
Yeah, they just put in chest pop. Well, they just put in chest pop most of the time, or humble.
Yep, and so it's effectively like you're looking at nearly the exact same setup. It's so like nothing, like when I saw that ban, I was like, yes, I think Sirens needs to be banned because it's also really good in fatigue decks. It's good in Ira. It's good in KO. It's good in all these decks. It's a generic card that heals you for 1, and it's really, really good. And
we called that out. You called that out pretty immediately. My only worry was I was like, well, it's gonna hit Verdance, but like Verdance isn't a thing.
Verdance
so, like,
isn't a thing. It's not as relevant. So it's like, okay, but something that is, obviously with them not being able to hit anything with KO, I do agree. Like what they want as far as balance, I'd imagine, is kind of like what we see. Well, to be fair, what we're seeing in CC right now is crazy. I mean, like
crazy.
so open of a meta, it's insane. Whereas here we're seeing an Ira pop in every now and again, and then like anywhere between 4 to 5 KO, and then like maybe a Guardian sneaks in, or like the one-off other hero.
Yeah. So I think what we're seeing is more of typical for a TCG.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, there's usually like that one boogeyman, and how do we beat that boogeyman?
Yeah.
We've just been in the past year or two. CC has been crazy in how open it has been. Even in when Gravy was the best deck, like we had Gravy, Syndra, and Verdance. Like even in those days, like we were still seeing things pop up that were like, this top 8 is crazy. There's like only one of these that have a duplicate. Like we still have 6 or 7 decks in a top 8. And so I think kind of on one side, I think we've been a little bit spoiled in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And so like this is a system that is new and is trying to get its footing, right? In that they are trying to make sure that their pre-cons, that people can do that $20 to the 2 million, right? I think is what's going on. But I also like looking at this. As soon as KO came in, I was like, okay, what beats this? And immediately, I went to fabtcg to just kind of look at like, hey, what is the statistic saying? And immediately it was like they're losing to Guardian.
Yeah.
All Guardians. Like it wasn't just like one different Guardian, whatever. They're losing to Guardian in general.
Yep.
And I did a flattering showman last night. I did a full man last night, and I beat 2 KOs and ult him. Granted, that first game against the KO, he made a mistake, and I was able to
capitalize on that,
to win off of that. I was able to utilize that. I was like towards the end of it, and they thought I'd gone through all my pummels, or they weren't sure if I was running pummels, and I had a pummel in Arsenal and just pummeled my hammer.
Yeah.
Whereas he actually had an extra card. If he'd blocked with that, he thought he had to use all his cards, but realized after that he had a vigor. And anyways, it was one of those like you weren't like completely paying attention to board state, so I was able to come in for 8. I think I would have lost that if that didn't happen. But I said to say like what the KO still need to play like perfect in order to beat even the more aggressive ones that are less block. I did so much blocking. Like I was expecting to just basically block out and try to get them to discard. But KO puts out so much damage even with that like it was still really close. Like honestly, I don't know if I would have been able to fatigue him even though he was discarding so much. You have to put so many cards in front of everything that almost gets to a point where like we're kind of the same in our deck. Like I'm still dropping my whole hand. Sure, you did 3 cards in there, to attack. One of them's a weapon, so you pitched one and you discarded one. So like we're kind of at equal footing.
Exactly.
Here. But point being, like, even as an aggressive one, like you could still beat them, and then if you're just have more blocks in there, like I think you will just kind of grind them out. But so we see Guardian in there, and then the other one that immediately people were looking at was Dash.
Mhm.
And I'd already seen we have a local mechanologist. They're a big Tekla Vossen fan, but they'll play
Right.
they like playing Dash as well. And so they were testing out Dash IE going because they actually went to the world premiere of Sage, and they were testing out Dash IE going into there, and then ended up switching to Flowman because Dash IE just couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing a point where Dash IE can keep, like, Dash IE couldn't keep up with Briar.
Right.
But now we are seeing Dash IE can keep up and even then go over KO. And that's what we're seeing in there. And so, like, to what you're asking is, like, can you attack it? Absolutely. Guardians attack it. Dash actually does more, can out damage KO. Because KO doesn't love blocking, and there's a lot of no blocks in their deck as well. And even though Buckwild blocks for 3, typically you want to use that on a crackback.
Yeah.
So, like I said, to say there are absolutely ways to take on this meta, and I do think that KO is the big boogeyman, but I don't know if you watched the AGE tournament this past weekend too.
Did you see? Are you talking about the finals?
Yeah, the New England AGE New England. Yeah, like we watched KO, and there's a couple of really good pro players that were on KO, and the finals was KO versus Kano.
Yep,
got 2 letters there.
Yep.
And Kano won it. Now, granted, there were a couple of ridiculous turns in there where they did, like, 6 damage into 2 snapbacks, right? So what is that, like 12 damage?
Yeah.
12 arcane damage.
Yeah.
Like, and he had to, like, crack his, arm piece and stuff, but they were able to force that out and then come back on their next turn and just hound them to a point where, like, they couldn't get in there. So, like, not to say, like, Kano was doing Kano things in that Kano does have to be lucky, right?
Yeah, having, like, 2 snapbacks is pretty fucking lucky.
Yeah.
Like
you do have to be lucky. You have to be lucky, like, seeing the top of your deck. Like, I'm not just, like, there is a lot in Kano that is very skill based, right? Like, I cannot take that deck and win with it. Like, I just can't. I've tried. I cannot. I'm not that player. And I've seen really good skilled players that can take that because they've been playing Kano for forever, and they could take the Sage deck and still win with it. So, like, there's definitely high skill ceiling in that Kano deck. But just like anything, Kano can come back in and just decimate people if they don't have enough. AB and sure that. The new arm piece is great because you can.
It's really good.
3.
I think it's, like, probably the biggest reason. I think it's probably the biggest reason to play KO at all is that the fact that you quite literally, because Kano is a big favorite amongst people, and Kano can just up and kill you. But if you have a floating 3 at all times because you're KO and everything is a 6 in your deck, you AB2, and then you pop your. Pop your arms.
The main thing is that most people are not running. They're only running AB1 because they don't want to get rid of their beaten trackers or their chess piece, which are both good pieces that you kind of need in that matchup.
And I think it's correct to run only the beaten trackers and everything else be AB spell void. That's what Noah ran when he was playing into the Kano. At the AGE event was head and chest were null rune, and then it was spell void.
I didn't think
gloves.
he had a chest. I thought he only had spell void 1.
Nope, spell AB2.
Did he have AB2? I thought he only had AB1.
That's right,
because they were like, he needs to deal 4 damage in order to get over at the end.
Yeah, because that's really the important thing. I'm not gonna lie though. Out of that game, all I'm saying is that. And this is just from me as a spectator watching that game and not knowing how the discussions went between the 2 players. Noah Bagelman won that game. But did you, like, I'm assuming you saw it, right? You saw the game?
Yeah, I saw the game.
So like, when it was very, very face up that it was the only difference is that the Bear Fangs came in, and there wasn't a dice put down to determine what the power of the Bear Fangs was. And it was coming in for 9. Kano is at 3. And he blocks 6. Proceeds to then Cindering Foresight, opt, and then play a Photon Splicing to try and kill his opponent for like, it comes in for like 5 arcane, and Noah just like is like, okay, pop my arms. You deal 2 points of damage and still live.
Snapback.
No, so he did, but before that snapback, the double snapback turn, Noah sent 9 points of damage at his opponent, and his opponent blocked 6 because it's just what he did. He blocked 6. And then proceeded to play out like he's trying to kill his opponent, right? So play the Cindering Foresight, opt, find the Photon Splicing because he's only going to get 1 resource after he KOs, and then play the Cindering Foresight or play the Photon Splicing for 5 arcane. His opponent is at 4, I think. So he's trying to blow him up. It is then Noah pops his arms in response and says, "Okay, I'm going to take 2 points of damage." He goes down to 2. The Kano player has nothing else left at all. It is then only at that moment does the Kano player notice the might token that's turned sideways and that the Bear Fangs is coming in for 9. He then proceeds to then call a judge and say, "Can we do a rewind? I didn't know this was coming in for 9. I would have blocked differently."
I know that there was a judge call, but I wasn't paying attention.
That was the judge call. Is he said I now I don't know what was actually physically said at the event, but all I know is that lethal was there. Noah had lethal. His opponent did not block properly. Proceeded to go through his whole turn in an attempt to kill his opponent. There was even the response of the popping of Scare Strapping to block out the arcane damage. They went to the damage step, and Noah's like, "Take 3." And his opponent's like, "Take 3, but I should only be taking 2 here and going down to 1. And he's like, "No, this is coming in for 9. And then he's like, "Hold on."
That's why I
like. It was really. And again, this is not me saying like this person is doing anything malicious.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is like that was effectively a real life example of a Talishar undo, and that was like not. This is not like a hyper competitive PQ event.
And you look at it and go like, did Noah Begeman call out he was coming in for 9?
Right. Yeah, exactly. There's other.
He didn't. I think that deserves a rewind because you're both responsible for a state, but you need to call out if you're not going to use dice. You need to call out what it's coming in for. Right. I think we always do that. When I attack, I don't care if I'm coming in for a hammer or not. I'm saying how much it is.
Exactly. Right.
Every time.
And again, it could
because all these cards, like all these, with this stuff, like all these cards, we get, mites, we get these, +3s or +2s based off of what you discard. Like KO, what you see on every card is not actually what it's coming in for. Like most cards, it's not actually what it's coming in for. There was one on last night where I had crushed him and he couldn't gain attack, and so he came in with the rough up, which gets +1 if there was a 6 or more in there, and he was like, "Okay, coming in for." He didn't even say. He was like, "Put it down." I was like, "Okay," so I looked at it and was like, "All right, so I'm gonna block 6, take 1." He's like, "No, I don't gain." I was like, "Oh right, my crush effect," because I don't play this deck. I don't play Guardians,
right?
But like it's one of those like you need to constantly stay in communication.
But that's also exactly to play a little bit of a devil's advocate in that situation, right? It's also on the onus of the opponent to ask and be like, "Hey, like," and don't get me wrong. Again, this could have been anybody's problem overall in how this was communicated and so on and so forth. But the might token was very obviously popped at the beginning of the turn. There were 2 might tokens on the board. Yep. One that was vertical, stating that it was made from the Bear Fangs, and one that was sideways, that was indicating that there was a +1 somewhere, right? The board state showed there was 9 on board. And instead of, like, I would have been like, wait, so this is coming in for 9, right? Like, I like to confirm with my opponent if I do not hear anything, because I want to make sure that there wasn't, like, some kind of insane pump in the back end that I missed or whatever the hell. Like, that's the important part. But
this is a good lesson for everyone to communicate exactly what you said. If you think your opponent, like, ask how much is this coming in for?
But also, as a judge, do you not consider a Cindering Foresight, which ops 3, mind you, and a Photon Splicing, and then also the popping of Scara Strapping to be too far ahead and knowledge gained from your opponent for you to warrant a rewind?
So as long as they're short answer is I don't think there should have been a rewind because he does see the top 3, but if he's going to play the top 3 anyway, I would basically be like, you have to play that.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is because the Kano proceeded to win because they rewound, blocked 9, and then just kept the Foresight effectively. Proceeded.
They kept the Foresight.
No, I think they played. I think they played the Foresight. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would. If I was doing a rewound, which quite frankly, I don't think I would have done. I would have been like exactly that. Like, there's too many actions that have happened.
Far too much has happened since that happened.
I would have, if I was going to allow a rewound, it would have been you have to play this Cindering Foresight, and if you do not, you're disqualified. You're out.
It's not, it's not a PQ, right? I mean, so technically it's whatever, right? It's just like a local event. But that the fact that it was followed up, right? They went from I blocked poorly and didn't ask my opponent what this was coming in for.
Yep.
I would have lost if I kept that way. I called the judge. They rewound several game actions. And then your next turn is non-attack action, snapback. Like, that kills your opponent. So it's very how do you go from okay, your opponent had lethal, you were upset because you didn't notice that it was going to come in for 9.
So there's a reason why if you watch stream games on fabtcg, at those callings and stuff, they require them to use dice.
Yeah.
I know it's number 1, it's for the stream, but number 2, it's for game states like this.
Exactly.
That they cannot rewind. So I do think I started using dice pretty regularly. If you have even just 6,
it's important to use it, right? Notating the game state, it's the same deal with pitch, right? You want to have something for your pitch, so you know how much floating pitch you have, because your opponent could just be like, yeah, I've got 3 float, and if you have no dice to showcase that, you have to think about the previous turns and what has been sent and so on and so forth. But regardless, right?
And all of us has 6-sided dice, 10-sided dice.
Right.
You don't need the special streamer dice. Grab that. I actually bought bigger dice that I used for a long time. They were just bigger 6-sided ones.
Yeah.
I eventually bought the streamer dice when I was at Worlds because I was like, hey, I'm here. Yeah. I don't have to go through all this. I'm just going to grab them.
Yeah.
But they're expensive. So if you don't have that,
if you don't have it, just some D6 are totally fine. But I think that was a big example and something that it's not like I'm like, oh, I don't think Kano deserves a win, because I think Kano's really good, and I do think Kano can still pull through, obviously. But
yeah, and I think he would have. I mean, he absolutely would have blocked differently.
Right, he would have blocked differently. Obviously, if that were the case, I think the issue there was just a lot. There was a lot with that game that I was like, ugh, and it didn't. When the game was over, and Noah lost because they rewound, right? I think both of the players were just kind of not looking happy about their choices. So it didn't it didn't translate to that was a good game of Flesh and Blood to watch. It was okay. Noah has the answer. His opponent can only block 3 and then do nothing and hope. And it didn't end up working out that way. So it was a very interesting game, but overall, regardless of how that game went, KO is definitely still pretty prominent in the meta, and it's definitely going to be big. But I agree with you. I think that you're going to see, especially now with Steelblade Shunt, not a card anymore, legal in this format, you're going to see a lot more Guardian. But in the same vein, if you see a lot more Guardian, what you're also going to see is a lot more Dromai and a lot more Enigma. A lot more of these other, because Guardian is going to definitely be stomped. Gravy Bones, even. You might even see more Gravy Bones locally if that's the case, because it is going to be Like Guardians do have quite a bit, and Oldhim is still a very real hero to play into, and it can beat KO.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that mean, right? Is that the triangle we're looking for? Kind of like how it was previously, right? You have an aggro deck, Syndra. You have a control-esque like block 6, send 8 deck in Verdance, being now Oldhim or any Guardian, I guess, whatever flavor you want. And then you have your ally deck being Gravy Bones for CC, and here maybe like Dromai because Rake the Ember's got unbanned. So we're maybe getting closer to a triangle. I think the only difference is that like KO can just rip, and it's something we're not going to see. This is the unfortunate part again about having to wait a season for these bans, is because we know next season is not going to look the same. KO is going to be gone. Briar probably will still be gone. Kano will probably be banned.
Yep.
And then we have a dev one, which devs will probably ban KO, if I'm going to be honest.
We don't know the order yet of the devs versus us.
So we don't, but let's be entirely honest, right? I would only imagine the devs are going to ban first, and then that way the players don't ban the dev ban. You know what I mean?
I actually think it's going to be the other way around. I think because we only each get one ban, right? So I think they're going to tally up. Okay, these are the 3 top ones, and now we're going to
just in case the community fucks up and like bans a deck that doesn't actually matter in the format.
Yeah. Like I could see them doing that way of like because they're going to see it. They're going to see how many votes, and so then they do that and go, okay, they didn't ban KO. We're going to ban KO.
Yeah. That could
because they'll have the statistics. So,
but that's
to me,
what I mean,
I feel like that makes the most sense.
But I mean, why wouldn't we though? You know, like why would people truly not ban KO if it's the only thing people are always consistently complaining about?
Oh, I mean, we are
format.
Like I think the top deck is going to be KO. I think Oldhim will probably get banned.
Oldhim will probably get banned. Well, I'd be surprised if Terra gets hit instead of Oldhim, but maybe that's more specific.
Well, I think here's what I think is going to happen. I think Oldhim is going to be more prevalent now that KO's in here.
Correct.
And so, like, they're going to be the deck that stops KO.
Yeah,
which means that there's going to be a lot of them. They can deal with the block slop a little bit better. The consistent of prevent 2 is actually a big deal. Like I know it's only 2, but most of those cards that they're pitching to it only block 2 anyways, and so you're getting that rotation. We're able to fatigue pretty easily. So I do think those 2 will get hit. I do hope Briar gets hit. I could see people starting to forget about Briar.
Yeah, she wasn't anywhere in the top 8s for the recent few. I mean, and to be fair, that's understandable. Most of the power has been ripped from the deck. And so without Lightning Press and Burn Up Shock, and it just is rough.
The reason why I hope she gets banned is because this new Lightning set I think is gonna jack her hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
but maybe
that's that even just the cards I've seen, I'm like, holy shit.
And I wonder whether or not it's like a huge psyop or something, because let's think about it, right? She's also got a precon that's going to be coming out.
Yeah.
Like Briar's going to be in a precon.
Yeah. And I know I think we've had this, I don't know if we had it on here or offline. Like, I don't know, like, how is Burn Up Shock not in that precon? So, like, are they just betting on the fact that she's going to get banned and they can be like, oh, well, the precon's not relevant?
Right.
Or maybe that's what they do if the community doesn't hit Briar. Maybe they hit Briar to make the precon not relevant, because once again, I don't think they want to ban cards that are in a precon.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? If you're trying to make these precons competitive, like actually truly competitive, of course, we're thinking years of development ahead of time. There's no way they were like, yeah, of course, let's not put Burn Up Shock, the best lightning card I think they've ever printed, in the deck. And go, okay, cool. Like Lightning Runeblade, you get really good power out of this deck.
Unless they're going.
I don't know. This is a big issue I have with precons. because of that specific situation. Like, these are precons that are supposed to be good, and you're supposed to be able to win events or top 8 events or do whatever with. So far, 2 of them have been able to do it, Phi and KO. That's it. And now we take a look at, or not, Phi and KO. And now we take a look at, okay, well, now we aren't banning cards from precons because we want people to buy them because it's a product. But we also are just eventually just waiting for these heroes to get benched. And when they get benched, then people aren't going to buy the precon anyway. So, like, what is the reason? It's kind of my whole thing. What's the reason for not just doing it now to be like, hey, this will be an eventuality. And if we ban stuff now, we can just tell people, make an article, just be like, hey, so KO got benched. That's kind of rough, but if you still wanted to play, this, that, and the other, you can still play these brutes. Or if they banned cards from KO, they go, we had to ban some cards from KO. Definitely really the best deck in format, I gotta say. With that being the case, here are 3 cards that you can get in your deck that replace those cards that we banned. And you can still play the hero at that level, and maybe you see like 2 hit the top 8, right? Yeah. And sure, they lose the factor of the precon not being the thing, your $20 ticket to the $2 million world tour.
I don't think they can lose that, though. That's the problem.
They can't do it in the first place. None of them have won that kind of money. Like, they have simply made it to top 8.
I know, but like you're
not seeing it happen with Dory. You're not seeing it happen with Icelander. You're not seeing it happen with Bravo Flattering Showman. Like, none of the other decks are competing at that level. It's literally just, hey, we made these 2 aggro decks insanely good. And it turns out that when you're able to send over 20 points of damage a turn, 3 turns in a row at a 20 life format, you tend to do pretty well in the format. So I think it's just one of those things where we're at a situation, it's just not, it's not feasible to hold one or the other, right? You have to give up one in order for you to succeed in the other. And if it's like, we'll do better in our future precons, awesome, right? I expect more chapter decks to come out. We obviously know we're getting Blaze next season, which is already insane because
they already hit a card from Blaze, and I'm assuming they knew. I'm assuming they knew they were going to hit that card, and it's not in the Blaze deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Which again would then lead me to believe that Burn Up Shock, right, is not, and Lightning Press are not going to be in the Briar deck. But if Briar still gets a ban, the deck's still irrelevant anyway. Like, these decks are eventually going to get benched. And when they get benched, people are not going to want to buy the product. Which leads you to the exact same scenario that you're trying to avoid right now, which is that.
Here's what I think is, like, so for instance, the Briar deck, let's just take that for instance. I know we're heading up the time on this. But I would say this. I think the Briar deck, I think maybe because they knew that the next set was going to be Lightning, maybe they actually kind of had the expectation of, hey, we're going to hit those with the new set. But they just hit them early. Maybe they decided to hit it early. And they were expecting to hit them in June. So, like, if we look at it that way, like, maybe those actually are not going to be in there because they were expecting to hit them, but in June, to make room for these new cards. So I could see maybe that instance happening. And so in the Briar deck, they don't have those, and they have some replacements from the new set, because I can see them pulling in just a couple of cards, right? Like, we already got a new Lightning Press. And so I think they just were like, hey, we have a new Lightning Press. We're just going to pull this trigger early. So maybe that's what's going to happen in there. But on the other side too, I could see them also putting in cards like Skizik. I would be surprised if Skizik is in the new set. I hope it is, but I would be surprised if it was. And I could see them putting Skizik into the Briar deck, which now suddenly makes that Briar deck worth a lot of money to people, that they're just going to grab it because they want Lightning. So even if Briar gets benched, they go, hey, we included these cards that are hard to get, that were only in this Aurora deck, and now we've brought them into this Briar deck, and so this is the only way to get it, right? We saw that with we've seen that with Bravo Flattering Showman, right? Like, it pulled in a couple cards that were only in, Pleiades, right? We got the Boulder Drop, which was, they finally put the red one out and they put it into Pleiades. They pulled it into Bravo. We see that in the Arachne deck, right? I bought the Arachne Armory deck because I wanted those couple pieces for Sage. Well, they put them in to there. I kind of thought they were going to do that, so I was like, I could wait a month or two, but I really want to play now because we'd started playing Sage already.
Right.
Also, there were some decent cards in there that I used as trade fodder. Some of the Majestics in there, I actually traded those away because like, all right, I'm just going to trade these away and get some cool stuff from it. Because there's some people trying to get into the game, into Assassin. I was like, cool, here's some staples. Right. Like Take Up the Mantle and things like that. Sure, didn't come with a full play set, but it still helped those players. I was able to get some good trades out of it. So anyway, so we see that, and I think maybe that's what their thought process was with Briar of like, hey, this might get hit. This is probably one of the best decks, but we're going to put in some unique things like Skizik and things like that that will make it worthwhile to people to buy, since we do have this Lightning set coming out. And so I think maybe because of the Lightning set, maybe they had a plan to hit those cards ahead of time, knowing to hit it when the Lightning set came out. So maybe they just pulled it early, and that Briar deck actually doesn't have that stuff in there.
But like, why wouldn't they have just built one for like the new Aurora? You know,
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
Why wouldn't they have just done maybe a Ziggy precon instead?
Yeah,
to do that.
Well, they do have a Ziggy precon. Maybe that will include a Sage one too.
There is a Ziggy Armory deck precon, but there is not a Sage precon for Ziggy. So
maybe they'll do what they did with Gravy Bones.
Swap them to Blitz. It doesn't sound like it. They don't have that CC to Blitz thing.
Yeah,
so
it didn't have that.
But I mean, regardless, I think what we'll see, the overall meta we're looking at right now is kind of determined based on what bands we're going to see there, and who knows, right? We might get totally surprised. There might be Silver Age bands at the Classic Constructed ban list that happens next week.
No, they specifically said they're not.
Well, they said they're not. But that's what I mean is like I would not be surprised if they decide that after the backlash that this season has happened and with the data that they have for this, that they go, well, we messed up because we didn't ban enough from KO, and that they go, okay, maybe we just get rid of Buckwild, and then it's fine, right? Like
maybe though, because we're seeing people attack the meta, right? That's KO, and we're seeing people attack it. They didn't even get into the final. Sure, there was top 4, but I do think we are going to see people more attacking the meta. We're going to have that kind of triangle thing. I don't think you can go, I'm going to attack the deck that's attacking the meta. Right, like I don't think you can go, I'm going to attack Oldhim because there should be Oldhims attacking there. But we do see Dash, we do see Oldhim, we saw Riptide. I looked at that Riptide deck. I was like, this is actually pretty decent.
Riptide's sick. Riptide is sick. We have a local that's going to bring Riptide to the battlegrounds that's out here. It's a cool deck.
It's going to do well. Like Riptide, I've been testing into some Riptides on Talishar, and like unless you are a stall deck like Rune Stack, Florian, you actually just kind of lose to that deck. It can do so much on your turn. I know that sounds dumb, but like those pings add up, and all of them can ping now. And they don't get trapped stuck in their hand anymore because now they have the trap actions. And so we do have that going on. So I think I wouldn't be surprised for LSS to decide, hey, we're going to let this meta evolve and see if people can attack it, and just kind of let the season play out. And just let it go. Because March, April, May, June. I mean, that's still a long time though. We still have like 3 months until there. So we'll see. But I could just, I think, I know a lot of people like these bans feel random. I don't think they felt random. I think that
certainly not random. I think it's just that they missed something. You know what I mean? I think that's my issue. Is that I think they missed something. I think they got everything that we wanted to get out. They got rid of Shumph. They got rid of the egregious lightning cards of Press and Burnout Shock. They get rid of Sirens. They got rid of all those cards, and they even brought back some cards to be like, oh, these cards are going to help these heroes become more meta relevant that we were not seeing previously. And it didn't do that. It did not do that at all. It literally just said, all right, cool. Like, I guess you have Rake the Embers back. But even with Rake the Embers, if KO is going to be the most prevalent, poppers all day. It was Sunday.
I think that they thought that the Rootbound was going to do more than it's actually done. Because they're like, hey, we'll give Terra and we'll give Oldhim access to these now.
Right.
And so they're like, we'll give them, more 4 blocks essentially. And I think that they thought it was going to do more than it's actually done, because it really hasn't made a difference.
Yeah, I mean, well, because really, I think
Oldhim
the only
doesn't
thing
even run it.
Yeah, because really, that's it, right? Like, it's an Earth card. Like, you can bring the blues to pitch the blues for Oldham's ability. You can run the reds to block 4 if you have Earth cards in your grave, but odds are you probably don't have Earth cards in your grave because you're not blocking with them. You're pitching to Oldham ability. So, like, you're not really blocking 4 in that scenario. The one who uses it a lot is Verdance and Florian. Those are the 2 that benefit the most from that.
And Terra might use it, but...
Yeah. Terra might. I mean, Terra definitely has the opportunity to have Earth cards in there because he's not going to pitch them. Not all the time, but at least like with Autumn's Touches, right? You put Autumn's Touches in your deck and everything, and it ends up working out. But there's still a lot to be found. Still a lot that can be had. Sure, you could do like a deep dive in testing to try and beat KO. If you're expecting like 20 KO at your battlegrounds or something, and that's going to be the most represented, which it will be the most represented deck at your meta, absolutely. If that's what you are worried about and you're trying to play into that field, that's good, right? You should be trying to do that. My other thing, though, is make sure you're still teched for Wizard, because Kano will still show up and beat your ass if you are not prepared for that. So, luckily, Guardian's got cool cards for that, too. So, it's...
I think we're going to see more dashes show up, though, now that they won. And I think we should. I think Dash has game into all of the meta.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised to see a lot more dashes come up, and then not necessarily become the big bad, but become the deck that, like, where it's like KO and Dash, right? Because we did have that with KO and Briar. It was just like Briar,
slightly better. Like,
it was slightly better and beat KO most of the time.
Yeah.
Whereas Dash, I think, is close to that level.
Yeah.
It's just not as egregious as it, and I think they can win. I think it's slightly favored into Dash. Not to say that KO can't win, but I think it is slightly favored into Dash just because Dash's deck is filled with 3 blocks.
Yeah.
So like they can go onto the defensive if they need to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, like, they can go on the defensive. I don't know. I think it's definitely a match I have to. That is definitely a die roll specific matchup. I don't know that's like. That is did you get to go first or second? If you went to go second, you're probably winning the game. If you're going first, you're probably losing that game, because there's just no way you're getting around that kind of stuff on a regular basis. But I do know that it's just going to be a crazy time. I think that if you're trying to play Guardian, it's probably a good time to do so. Just again, bring in your Oasis Respite, bring in your Steadfast, bring in your cards that do that kind of stuff, because like you're going to need that for arcane damage. But as long as you are bringing a Titan's Fist and a Sledge, you are going to be okay. And those are the thing. You got to bring both. And so bring your suite of armor, bring everything that blocks, and you'll be right as rain and good to go. But we're gonna go ahead and call it here today. But thank you all so much for watching. If you've been watching this live with us, you are channel members, so thank you so much for supporting the channel in the way that you do. We of course do these live for all of our channel members here on Asher Wings TCG every Tuesday morning. This might be changing to possibly Tuesday afternoon. So depending on that, I'll of course keep everybody updated on if something does change in that area, but we'll be doing some slight changes there. And then that's if you're watching the VOD, thank you for watching the VOD. Thank you for continuing to hang out with us and talk about Silver Age, and hopefully you're excited for your battlegrounds. If you're testing anything fun or exciting, just let me know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. You can obviously find Nathan over on his channel over at Bulletproof Games. Probably going to be doing some more Shadowbox stuff, I'd imagine, pretty soon. I saw you came out with your guide recently, right? Your breakdown, I guess. Is that what it is?
That was just like kind of a quick breakdown. I'm actually working on the breakdown. That's why one of them is built.
Gotcha.
It's more of like the other one was like a breakdown of like, hey, how do you build it? I'm doing a full on video. It's halfway edited with narration on going over techniques and things like that. So that way you can get a good idea as to like, hey, how did you get those cool curves and things like that. We're gonna go and we're gonna do some advanced stuff.
Perfect. Cool. That's awesome. So, well, feel free to obviously check that out if you're interested in the artsy side of things there. I'm planning on doing some more Silver Age content over here on my channel. I've obviously want to talk a bit about Rhinar now that I'm Rhinar pilled and built in this mini area, because apparently I'm John Medax right now, because apparently I can just roll 5s and 6s. So it's going to be an insane time. But overall, I think just we're seeing a lot of changes in Flesh and Blood currently, and I'm very, very excited to see where things turn out. I'm excited to see what happens with the battlegrounds in the next couple of weeks. And who knows, right? Maybe Memphis shows us something interesting during their showdown that isn't KO. Maybe we see the meta start to shift into something more defensive and we see a push through there, but we'll see. So thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I hope you all continue to have fun in the Flesh and Blood. And we'll see you all on the next episode of the Common Language Podcast. Bye, everybody.